Okay, בשעה טובה ומוצלחת. We are starting פרק חמישי, the fifth פרק of Mishlei. פסוק א', בני לחוכמתי הקשיבה, my son, listen to my wisdom, לתבונתי הט אוזנך, and incline your ear to my תבונה, to my insight, to my discernment, right? Says the Gaon, pretty straightforward. He says, we've discussed it already. First of all, you start with lechokmati akshiva. You have to listen to my wisdom, right? In the beginning, if you want to learn Torah, you first have to listen to the Rav. You have to internalize what he says. And then you analyze and you discern and you break down, right? And you dive into the chokhmah that you observe. And that's what Beni lechokhmati akshiva. First, listen, right, to my chokhmah. V'litvunati haznecha. And then, right, tilt your ear, which means be more focused and more alert and more attentive, right, to my tevuna. He says the reason why this is an important structure to first listen to your Rav, absorb his chokhmah, and then apply the tevuna, then apply the analytics and the discernment. It's because if you did not grasp properly and internalize properly the chokhmah of your Rav, the way it was transmitted to you, then by the moment you analyze what he's told you, what he's taught you, you will start losing the authenticity of the lesson and focus on the analysis of what you think you understood. And this we've learned already, right? Shlomo HaMelech says, and the Gaon explains it a few times, first listen, absorb, right? Consolidate the chokhmah through the tevuna of the chokhmah, if you recall, right? And then when you know clear exactly what has been taught, the way it has been taught, can you implement now the tevuna and dive into the lessons within the lessons by using your bina and the tevuna of your bina. So again, the hidush, but the dagesh that the Gaon addresses here is that if you don't apply the tevuna properly, you end up losing in the quality and authenticity of the chokhmah delivered by your Rav. So don't jump. Internalize, understand properly, and then start asking questions and להבין דבר מתוך דבר, and bring out hidushim from what you have learned. Overall, it's a pasuk that again, refreshes the idea of the seder of the limud on how to learn from your Rav. And as we mentioned, when Shlomo HaMelech says, Beni, my son, he's telling you that if you let me be your son, this is what you'll be able to implement. So be open, like a son is open to a father, and you will be able to absorb the Torah that I'm here to teach you in its full authenticity. You'll be able to grasp it the way I want to transfer it to you. And then you'll be able to break it down and make it yours through the Binah. And that's essentially every lesson we want to learn from a father, or any lesson we want to learn from a master, should be in a framework and in a mentality of a father and son. Be open to receive, accept that. Why Beni? Because if you know that it's coming from your father, you know it's pure, you know it's authentic, you know it's for your best interest. Good? Pasuk Aleph, pretty straightforward. And by doing that, Pasuk Bet, Lishmor Mezimot, to keep Mezimot are, says the Malbim, deep concepts of Chokhmah. Etzot amukot shel HaChokhmah, says the Malbim. That's Mezimot. Foresight, I guess, so it's translated foresight for the Mezimot. Yeah? But the explanation of Mezimot, Lishmor Mezimot, to protect, to keep, retain, right? Etzot amukot shel Chokhmah. That's how you retain deep messages, deep lessons of the Torah. If you want, again, through the Chokhmati Akshiva, through Beni, be a son, right? Be a vessel to receive. Chokhmati Akshiva, listen to my Chokhmah. Right? Tilt your ear, be focused and engaged in my tevuna, to understand within the words, the lessons that you can take from my chokhmah, and through that, lishmor mezimot, you will be able to also guard and internalize the deep etzot, the deep teachings of the chokhmah. V'da'at sefatecha insoru, and your lips will hold on to the da'at. V'da'at sefatecha insoru. So here, the Gaon on the Pasuk Bet only brings a pirush al pi Kabbalah. And he says like this: Lishmor mezimot, to hold on to the deep lessons of the Chokhmah. Says this is the Penimiyut Torah. This is how, meaning this is how you retain Sodot Torah. If you want to touch to the secrets of the Torah, you want to tap into the secrets of the Torah, you need to apply the formula of Pasuk Aleph. If not, you don't open the gate, your gates, to Sodot Torah. You might be taught secrets of the Torah, but you will not tap into your secrets in the chokhmah that you are being taught. So if you want to tap into your secrets of that chokhmah, in your sodot of the Torah, in that chokhmah, you must apply the formula. ודעת שפתיך ינצורו. So this is the hitzoniut. This is more the pshat of the Torah. This is more the Torah shebichtav, the Torah that is accessible to all, that is universal to all. And he says the Gaon, why does he say in Soru? We know that in Soru is a way to netzor, to hold on, right? Tight, to keep close. He says because it's referring to the Da'at. And the Da'at is the last vessel in the Mohin, in the Chokhmah Bina and Da'at, before it's translated into emotions or actions. So he says, make sure that the summarization, right, the consolidation of the Chokhmah and the Bina in your Da'at is what you hold on tight and you protect, because this will be your point of reference when you go back to it, right? Today it's fresh, but in 6 months from now, when an opportunity comes, you want to go back to that Da'at. You want to go back to those lessons that you've learned, that you've made, that you brought out from the Chokhmah that you've listened, that you were taught, right? That's the Da'at. So says the Gaon, because if your point of reference to it later on is the Da'at, make sure that this is what you hold on tight, and this is what you consolidate, and this is what you keep clear in your heart. And by having that clear and accessible at all time, you will be able to open then the door to the thought process all the way to the chokhmah that was taught to you. So it's like a reverse engineering of what you have been taught, right? You're taught the chokhmah, you use the tevuna of your chokhmah to make sure you absorb properly to its full authenticity what has been taught to you. That's the tevuna of the chokhmah. Then you use your bina, right, which is to break down what you've been taught and compartmentalize it and analyze it. Then you use the tevuna of your bina to bring out all the hidushim out from everything that has been processed and analyzed. Then you have your da'at that consolidates all this as a practical lesson that is now yours, because it's your product, right? This is what you have to hold on tight, and this is what that should be your key word that you can refer to, and then go back to the entire chokhmah behind and thought process and analysis that you had to get to that hidush and lesson that you have taken from the process. It's a very systematic lesson here that we learn from the Gaon. Stanley, you with us? You have a conversation? Yeah. Okay. Good. So this is the advice. And why is that so important? That's the next few pesukim. Because we're exposed to threats. Says Shlomo HaMelech, Pasuk Gimel. Ki nofet titofna sifte zara, because the lips of the forbidden woman drip sweet like drip drops of honey that is sweet. The lips of the forbidden woman are sweet. וחלק משמן חיכה, and her mouth, her hech, her palais, her palais, her hech, her mouth is slicker than oil. You know, when you put oil, it slides, right? The mouth, her mouth of the forbidden woman is slicker than oil. What's interesting is that here the honey is sweet, but it's sticky. Oil is bitter, but it's silky, it's slicky. Here Shlomo Melech tells you that the forbidden woman is sweet and slick, but is also sticky and bitter. So the Gaon explains. When a person says, why did Shlomo HaMelech tells us that you have to, to be shomer de Torah, shomer de Chokhmah, shomer de Tevuna, right? The first two pesukim. Is that because when a person grows in his Avodat Hashem and starts doing mitzvot, every mitzvah he will do in the beginning of the mitzvah is confronted to the Yetzer Hara. And he is challenged by the Yetzer Hara with nisyonot, tests, and mind games, and different types of emotions, physical challenges. All this to stop the person from getting to his end goal with it, which is the mitzvah. This is a natural setup of every mitzvah. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, every mitzvah you will be exposed to has in it a challenge. Why it's not challenging anymore, or it's not challenging to put tefillin or to eat kasher or to do Shabbat? Because we've overcome to a certain level those big and more crude challenges, right? But the Yetzer Hara is very refined, and he will find a nuance when you think everything is okay to deviate the person and make the person fail. So says Shlomo HaMelech, you need to make sure that you're on top of your game when it comes to the Chokhmah Torah, the Binat Torah, and your Da'at, so that when this Yetzer Hara comes, you know how to overcome it and to dodge it. And he says, and which Yetzer Hara are we referring to? Says the Gaon, we're referring to the Yetzer Hara of the pleasure of Arayot, the pleasure of the Yetzer Hara of women. And he says, and from there learn for the rest of the pleasures. Because he says, the Yetzer Hara works in two ways. First, the Yetzer Hara has is like a woman. In the Yetzer Hara, you have the Samech Men which is the male polar force of the Yetzer Hara, and then you have the female polar force, which is called Lamed Yud and Lamed Yud Taf. We don't say her name, which is the female polar force of the Yetzer Hara. So says the Gaon, when a person is exposed to a Yetzer Hara, it starts with Nofet Titofna Sifte Zara. First, the thought process, the rationalization to the avera is slick like lips. It's sweet. It's sweet. You feel like it's pleasant. It feels good, but it's okay, right? And you're attracted by the sweetness of the action. That's how it starts. That's it. That's how he gets you stick. That's how he gets you connected by the desire, the thought process, the emotion of the desire. And then you get stick to it, and then it's in your mind, it's in your head, it's part of you. And then the failure happens. וחלק משמן חיכה, and then comes the actual avera, and says the Gaon, the pleasure of the avera is so sweet, it's so soft, it's so slick, that it enters your core essence and becomes part of you. Just like the oil that can find its way, okay, and you don't feel it, so as the pleasure of the actual avera. Why is that? The Gaon has a question. He said, 1 second, but every individual, okay, also has the intimate relations with his wife, and say mutar, the mitzvah, right? So why here you have that feeling and here you don't have that feeling? So he says, he brings a Gemara in Sanhedrin Ayin He. The Gemara says, Miyom shehara bet hamikdash, since the destruction of the Bet Hamikdash happened, nital ta'am bi'ah, the pleasure of intimacy was taken, venitan le'ovrei avera, and was given to the people that do averot. The Yetzer Hara, the high pleasure of this ta'ava was given to the Ovrei Averot. Meaning when someone does an Avera in that field, right? It's much better feeling, okay, of the Yetzer Hara we're talking, not the intellectual, not emotional love and bond, etc. Yeah? The Yetzer Hara feeling, right? The physical pleasure is greater when a person does an avera, then when it is. Why?
Why? It makes no sense.
What do you mean it makes no sense? What makes no sense?
It should have been given to the mitzvah.
Yes.
Not to the avera.
That's before the Churban. That's before the destruction.
They changed.
After the Churban happened, right? We lost that.
What did the Churban?
The darkness, the world of Churban, the world of destruction took that on their side.
What did the Churban have to do with that mitzvah?
The concept, why the mitzvah itself?
Yeah, that feeling that we're talking about as well.
When there was a Churban Bet Hamikdash, Hakadosh Baruch Hu took away the pleasure that was left with us, right, and transferred it and gave it to the Sitra Achra. Why? We know that there was two Yetzer Hara, two big ones. One Yetzer Hara was Avodah Zarah, and the small one was the pleasure of women. Okay, the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah was taken away. What was left? The one of the Yetzer Hara of intimacy, and that was a way to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like we say, Shlosha Shutafim LaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shlosha Shutafim LaAdam HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aviv Ve'imo. There are three partners to the birth of a child. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, man, and the mother and the father. When that part was broken, there's no more Shutafut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a level of the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Shekhinah at the time of the Bet HaMikdash. So that was taken away. So with that, the Kedusha, the pleasure of the holy bond also was taken away. So where did it go? Where did that void, the pleasure of the void go? It went to the Yetzer Hara. It went to the side of the Ra. That's the Gemara. That's the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Ayin He Amud Aleph. The Gemara there, that's the Hidush of Rabbi Yitzchak there. The Gemara there speaks about a man that is about to die. He's very sick. Okay, he's very sick, and they go to the doctors say the only way he's going to get cured is if he has an intercourse with that woman. Chachamim say he'll die and he's not going to have an intercourse. And the Gemara says his only cure is if he sees her naked. The Gemara says he'll die and he doesn't see her naked. If she tells him things that can satisfy him behind curtains, behind the gate, she just speaks to him, tells him things that can make him think of all the Yamut, he dies and he doesn't listen. So the Gemara says, Machloket, on which type of woman we're talking about. Some wanted to say that we're talking about a woman that was married. She's married to somebody else. And some want to say that she was a pnuya. She was vacant. She was not married. So the Chachamim say, if it was the one, according to the Chachamim that hold that she was married, I can understand how can a married woman satisfy another man in any possible way. So it's normal, yamut. But if she's not married, marry her. Let her marry this guy, and you save her life. The Gemara answers because since the Churban of the Bet HaMikdash, right? The pleasure was given to the Ovrei Avera. And if this person has this pleasure, that means it comes from the Avera. And if it comes from the Avera, you cannot use somebody else to satisfy an Avera. If he's sick, and this is what he needs, it's because of his Averot. So that's the Gemara in Sanhedrin says the Gaon, and this is what we're learning from the Yetzer Hara of women, the behavior of the strategy of the Yetzer Hara. So the Yetzer Hara first attacks your rationale, and you start rationalizing. And the thought process makes sense. It's sweet. Yeah. And then the person falls. The Avera is done. And through the Avera, the Yetzer Hara infuses the body of the person, the nefesh of the person, with like an oil, right? Which now makes it so desirable and sweet, and that the person doesn't even realize what's happening to him. And now he becomes hooked. He becomes hooked to the Avera. This is a strategy of the Yetzer Hara. That's Pasuk Gimel.
The story is a person that he stopped eating to be with a woman. He got sick because he stopped eating.
He got sick because
he said, I want to be with this woman. If not, I will not eat. And he started to get sick. Unless I'm with this woman, I will not eat till I'm with her.
The Gemara, no, it says that the Gemara says that he was chole. I don't know if it's because he was I don't know if it's because he didn't eat. That's what the Gemara says.
I think he sent the guy to jail, or like a history that he wanted so much the woman. He said, I won't eat. I prefer like, and the doctor said, what? No problem.
I don't. Ken, you're right. He loved. He saw her and he wanted to be with her and he got sick from it.
Yes, I heard it once.
Yeah, I don't know if he. I mean, I don't know if he was in jail, but he was. He got sick. He was so like overwhelmed. Like he was so like fantasizing over her that
Did then come a rab and said, if you put all that energy for the top, you will be a great person then? How that the story continues?
I don't know if that's the same Gemara.
uh-huh.
I don't know if that's the same Gemara.
Well,
The
I'm not a
energy.
specialist, as you can see.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's the same Gemara, but there is Sam Enav, right? Masish again. Shnatan Enav Beisha Achat. And from there he got sick.
And then what happened is what I'm trying to remember how it continued.
I think that's the end of the perik there.
Okay.
I don't think there's a continuation.
Okay.
That Gemara that says מיום שחרב בית המקדש ניטל טעם ביאה וניתן לעובדי העבירה, that's the end. Like it says like מים גנובים ימתקו. I don't think there's a continuation there in the Gemara.
Okay.
So that's the but that's the Maaseh. That's the Maaseh. Pasuk Dalet. והחריטה, the end result, right? Of the Isha Zara, Mara Kala'ana, is as bitter as the wormwood, which is it's like a grass that grows that's very, very bitter. It was used to cure sicknesses of the intestines. He says, well, it's true that it starts as being sweet and slicky, but at the end, the outcome is bitterness, right? So it starts sweet, it ends bitter. Hada keheref bifiot, and it's sharp, like a two-edged sword. He says, this is, it's soft, it's slick, like the in the beginning it's slick like the oil, but at the end it cuts like a double sword, a two-edged sword blade. Explains to Gaon, he says that there is a price to pay to the Yetzer Hara, to falling for the Yetzer Hara. Every time you benefit from the sweetness of the Yetzer Hara, you expose yourself to bitterness in life that will come one way or another. Because you picked up on a time, on a pleasure in this world that's not allowed. So it's like a midah keneged midah. You took sweetness that you don't, that's sweet to you, but it's not allowed. So you have to neutralize that sweetness. Yeah, the tikkun is neutralization of it with what? With bitterness.
Incredible.
And against the slickness of the oil. Yes, Brian.
In this world or Olam
In
Haba?
this world. Right, one second. Good point. And against the slickness of the oil, which is smooth. You've enjoyed a pleasure of the sin. And what is the counterpart of enjoyment in this world? Suffering, right? He said, but that's already bitterness.
Different.
I'm sorry?
Bitterness and suffering is different.
Health. Health issues.
Huh?
Health issues.
Okay. The Gaon says it's mita. And you bring, and in the Ktavim, you bring a Zohar Kadosh, Tikkun HaZohar, Zohar Kadosh, and Tikkun HaZohar. He says the bitterness. The Zohar says this. The bitterness is the outcome of the Yisurim. Is the outcome of Yisurim
Surim is suffering, no?
of suffering. But it doesn't stop here, because you see that it's Shlomo HaMelech says Hada keheref pifiot. It's sharp like a blade that of a double-sworded blade, two-edged blade. That means there's two punishment to it. One side, like you said, the Zohar says the Yisurim, and the other side of the blade is mita, is death.
After the suffering.
Yes.
As an outcome, bitterness is an outcome of the suffering. Death is an outcome
Of both.
of both.
Of both. Also from the Israel, it's both. These are the double. It's like the double punishment of the pleasure of the actual action.
I think a better way to say it is the bitterness yields suffering, the suffering yields death.
But the Zohar says, "Notenet yisurim shehem marim meod." The action brings yisurim that are very bitter. Right, so the action, so the bitterness of that, you could have an Isurim that are not bitter, like you said, right? So the bitterness of the Isurim comes from the rationalization and the thought process and all the imagination that comes before. The Isurim comes from the action, but the Isurim is leads to the Mitah. The Gaon, that's the Zohar Kadosh. The Gaon adds another layer to it. He says that the pleasure of the action ba'olam hazeh kills the person ba'olam hazeh and olam haba. What does it mean? It is not only that it brings mitah, like the Zohar says, ba'olam hazeh, but the pleasure that the person had ba'olam hazeh is taken from the olam haba, from the pleasure of olam haba. That means that the pleasure that a person is supposed to have infinitely in Olam Haba is traded by a pleasure that he took in this world in a finite moment.
Once we studied, I think in Kohelet, that the purpose of the Yetzer Hara is to kill you.
Correct.
To strangle you and kill you.
That's the outcome. So you understand? The Gaon takes the Zohar and he takes one step further. The midah keneged midah in the pleasure is that it comes from the olam haba. Like the person traded an infinite spiritual pleasure for a pleasure in this world. So that portion of olam haba disappeared.
Is it specifically midah keneged midah? Is it all of the pleasures of olam haba, or is it that pleasure?
That's specific.
That specific pleasure.
That's specific. That's specific.
And do we know that specific pleasure going back now? Will we get it back in the permissible relations that we were supposed to have? That we were supposed to have here?
Nachon, yes. What is done by mitzvah and the pleasure of mitzvah, you get it.
It's supposed to come back in olam haba. What was taken away from us during the
No, that's not in olam haba. That comes back le'atid lavo when the third Bet HaMikdash will be created at the reconstruction of the Bet HaMikdash.
Got it.
And to be mashlim, because the next pasuk also has to do with that. Pasuk he ragleha, her legs, her feet, yordot mavet, go down to death. Sheol tzeadeha yitmochu, and her steps are tomchim, are supportive of the Sheol. We have to understand what Sheol means. So here again, the Gaon does not bring a pirush al pi pshat or a pidrash. He brings a pirush al pi Kabbalah. He says there are two levels after the mitah, after death. I mean, there's the mavet itself. There is the world that is called the dimension that's called the dimension of mitah, and then there is a dimension that's called Sheol. Sheol is it's like somebody dropping and never stopping to drop, falling and he never stopped falling. Somebody falls at one point, you just want to stop falling. Sheol it's a dimension of continuous despair in the dimension of mitah. So he says the Mavet and Sheol in the dimension of the dimension of death is parallel to Hayav Mitah and Karet in Olam Hazeh. Mitah, the body's dead. That's Mavet. Sheol, it's a deep bore, like a drop that doesn't end. It's like karet. Karet is zero continuation. And he says, and that is compared to the Mara and Hada. Mara is Mavet, it's Mar. And Had, which is the sharp, is referred to Karet. Like Karet, it cuts. There's a cut, right? What is Karet? Lo alenu. It's when something is cut from its source of life. Lo alenu, somebody that have Karet, Hashem Yishmor, right? There's no continuation of his descendants. So he's cut from the chain of life. Says the Gaon, these are the two outcomes of that lo alenu a person faces when he he follows the Isha Zara, right? The Yetzirah of Ta'avot. So he says, and what is the tikkun and the prevention to that? He says it's the chokhmah and the binah that Shlomo HaMelech addressed in the beginning of this parak. He says says the Gaon, the more you're makshiv to the chokhmah, the more you listen to chokhmah, the more you tilt your ear to the tevuna, the more you protect the sodot, right? The deep secrets of the Torah, the mezimot, lishmor mezimot, v'dat sefatecha insoru, right? And you crystallize the da'at, the more you're busy with your chokhmah, with your bina, with your da'at, and the more that effort yields a shield of protection that protects you from the zara, the isha zara, from the outside ta'avot, right? That can trigger or penetrate in you to trigger rationalization that leads to the chet and the outcome that Shlomo HaMelech just revealed to us with the Pirush of the Gaon.
Just one quick thing, Shlomo HaMelech uses the woman, as you said earlier, that because that's the most extreme of the
yes
of the Yetzirah.
Yes, yeah. From here, that's because it's the biggest. It's the one you can analyze the most because it's the most exposed one. So from him, you understand. Okay, the Yetzirah has more fine and has more nuance and harder to detect.
Wow.
There's one more pasuk for I don't know if you're maybe I mean that's relevant to this to the Isha Zara. We can do if.
And do you have another minute?
Perfect. Okay. So one more pasuk. Orach hayim pen tefales na'u margeloteha lo teda. So orach hayim pen tefales. She doesn't have a path to life. We spoke about the peles, right? In the last shurim. Orach hayim pen tefales. He says, if you let the ta'ava, the lefales, you know what's a peles? Peles is like you know those ruler that with a water and a ball in it to make sure that it's straight. That's a peles.
The architects use them.
Yes. So he says, don't let the Yetzirah be mefales, like play with you in degrees. And dictate your behavior. Why? Because if you let her, she will control your life. The ta'avot will control your behavior. And slowly you'll start doing things, and you'll follow the Yetzirah, you'll follow the ta'ava. And at the end, not only that you won't be able to go back to a way of life, to a path of life, like it says, Kol ba'eha lo yashuvun, all the ones that follow the Yetzirah of ta'avot, then there's no comeback. Whether they don't come back, but they can come back. If you remember, Andy, you asked me that question when we addressed that. Yes, but it's with tremendous Yetzirah avodah to come back, but the most will not come back. They will not be able to find ways to actually connect to the source of life. They will not, they will lose their way in such a way that they cannot find any way out. Like it says, En asur matir atzmo mibet ha'asurim. A prisoner cannot save himself from the prison. It has to come from outside, meaning the person is so trapped in his ta'avot, he's so trapped in his own ways that he cannot see any way out. He says, this is the pshat. Nauma gelotea lo teda. Nauma gelotea, her ways around are so like they're now they will take you in circles. Yeah,
Wonder, just
wonder, right?
no
direction,
no
direction,
just moving around.
No ways. You go in circle and you just never get out of it. Her ways will get you in path that you never get out. Lo teda klal et derech hachaim, says the Gaon. You will not know in any way the path of life. Meaning a person is completely lost, like suddenly he's in the desert and he has no direction. Finished. So he says, this is the avodah of the Yetzer Hara. It comes and slowly you move 1 degree here, 1 degree there, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. This, yeah, the ta'ava doesn't attack you directly. It's tov. Remember, it's the tov of the ra, but it's the worst because it's the one that knows how to infiltrate. But the outcome, Hashem Yishmor. It's an outcome without any way out. And all this can be avoided, can be protected, and can be and a person can be protected by the effort that he puts in his chokhmah, in his binah, and in his da'at. So that's the segula to ta'avot, right? Somebody asks, what's the segula to be protected from the ta'avot of this world? Be invested in your chokhmah, be invested in your tevunah, work hard on being shomer your da'at. It makes sense when a person is busy. Think about it. When a person is busy with fundamentals, with things that are that things that are pillars of the world, right? Torah, Yirat Shamayim, Chokhmah. He doesn't have the time even to focus on the Yetzer Hara. And if the Yetzer Hara comes, the shield, like the Gaon says, he yields a shield of protection. That Torah, that avodah, that effort yields a shield of protection to push away the Yetzer Hara. It's harder for the Yetzer Hara to attack him. That's what Chazal say again. Im paga becha menuval ze, if this menuval, if the Yetzer Hara attack you, moshcheu lebet hamidrash, goes right away to the Bet HaMidrash. Learn Torah. This is why כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבת רב וחמלת רב לא תסור ממנו לעולמים. That's why we thank הקדוש ברוך הוא in אהבת עולם, right? כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו. This is ממש מקור החיים. When you're connected to Torah, you're protected. And that's by default what gives you חיים. And hold on, he'll let you hold on to your חיים. And לא עלינו the other way like we saw. טוב, בעזרת השם. So we just finished פסוק ו'. בעזרת השם.
חזק וברוך, thank you.
באהבה.
Thank you, Rabbi.